artwork is definitely amazing. I'm excited for that, but it seems like, to your point, Drabs, there's new abilities, there's new, all kind of new dimensions, the new zero cards. So it's like it's a whole new game. It's on the 8th. It's a whole new game we're playing, and it's going to be a race to see who can figure these cards, who can get them, and stack them up. So what's your strategy? Once this hits on the 8th, and Travis, you go first here. Once it hits on the 8th, what are you going to be doing to kind of get ready for this?
Well, I've got about 63 packs, I think 64 packs actually, that I have to open up. So we'll see what I get from there. But it's definitely going to be interesting because over the course, of the past couple of months, when I first started, I was a big renter, right? And it was a completely different ball game when I first started, like right around the start of the airdrops. Like I could get up into gold and rent's still relatively cheap. They weren't too expensive, but also you were meeting a lot of lower level competition. So I wasn't seeing what I see now. As like a season ago, I went back up into gold. I ended up having a bunch of delegated power and renting a little bit, but it was a completely different ballpark now. A lot of leveled up summoners. So you really need to start building your collection up and really focus on that. And I think Chaos Legion is the opportunity for a lot of us. I've slowly been building some of the cards that I play with most through like Untamed and Dice because they're going to be really valuable. I haven't bought any beta or alphas because they're not really justifiable for the price of what they are. I could buy 5 or 6 other cards for that cost, right? And I think, I'll kind of talk about it here. I wanted to ask Gank about this too. What do you think on the two formats now with the modern and the wild? Do you think players will be able to compete just with their Chaos Legion cards in both circumstances, or do you think they'll be at a little bit more of a disadvantage competing in the wild format? And also with both rewards now, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be reward pools for both. How much incentive is there to play in both, right? So it's going to be really
Well, those are actually really good questions. I would say that it's going to be especially as you move higher in the not the modern. What's the name of the everything?
Wild?
The wild one. Yeah, as you move up higher in the wild, it's definitely going to be a disadvantage if you're only playing with like Chaos Legion Untamed. There's just some of those promo cards, some of those legendary summoners from beta are just powerhouses that are, really going to have tough time overcoming at the highest level. Now at gold, at silver, that might be a different story. It might be a little bit easier to compete just because everything's nerfed a little bit and there'll be, different ways to find wiggle room around stuff. But when everything's maxed out, I think it's probably going to be not feeling very good most of the time. So I think it's, if that's people's case, I would say it's they're obviously going to try it out, give it a shot, see if it's worth your time. But I would guess it's probably they'll tend to play more on the modern league, and they'll have more success with that, I think. Yeah.
And you'll probably have more skilled players as a whole in the wilds because you have, most of the people that have older cards have been here for a longer time, played longer, So I do think the competition level might be a little higher.
It's going to be higher, not just for that, but also the bots are more seasoned for the wild league.
It's a good call.
It's
that makes sense.
That's not the wild league's not going to be changing too much. There's going to be an addition of some cards, but for the modern league, that's a completely new game for the bots, and so that's going to bots are only as good as their programmers. So eventually they'll step up, but that modern league for the first month, for the first couple months, is going to be pretty sweet as far as just like players battling it out towards the top anyway, with just players, as AI picks up data and starts to make some moves. But I think that Modern League is really going to start a new chapter in this game as far as putting everybody at a pretty even level, as opposed to, a lot of us OGs who have been around a while have super sick decks. So, You know, like it's tough to climb up right now without, you know, starting to feel like you're really starting to you know, beat up against fucking $500,000 decks, you know,
Right.
which are impossible, you know, for most people to obtain without, you know, either renting a ton or whatever. And so I think Chaos Legion, and that wasn't necessarily by design. That was more by uh, circumstance of just how quickly this game evolved and the lack of cards that were able to keep up with this, you know, demand of people. So as this new league starts and everyone's on this new footing that's pretty equal, or at least can be equalized relatively cheaply compared to, you know, the wild league, you know, I think you're going to start to see more people rise up that have been no names in the past or have just been kind of lurking, waiting for an opportunity to show off what they're capable of as far as, you know, their poker skills, like you mentioned. Like that was part of the reason I was attracted to this game, is that this game checks off a lot of those boxes, you know, those poker boxes, as far as in the moment, what's my opponent playing, what's the best way to attack this, what's this overall
How many outs do I have and
how many
stuff?
outs do I have, what's the overall strategy I want to take, do I want to take a strategy just for this battle, or do I want to create some type of longer term strategy against this particular opponent for, you know, on some meta level to try to like work him over overall stronger, you know, like and you know, so that type of thinking really turned me on as a player to this game. Like that was what was, you know, vibing with me as far as, oh, this game really could be awesome at a high level, because of the complexity of it. And as more cards and more skill sets and more rule sets get introduced, that's only adding to that. And every time that happens, that hurts the bots. You know, every time 10 new rule sets get introduced, or 40 new cards, or a couple different um, you know, summoners or abilities, you know, that changes on so many more different possibilities are added, that it just really gives back the advantage to the humans that are just trying to like play their best.